is a waste and sustainable specialist to do a presentation on circular economy.
Okay, are we expecting more people to come in, or should we just
get started and they will come in after the present.
Okay. Right, okay. So are you sure you're all here just to come and see me? Is that the reason, or is it the cookies? Where are those cookies? See those? Oh, there they go. I'll wait to see if they've gone down and then see who's left. Okay. Right. Okay, so I'm going to talk through some of these topics for the next 15-20 minutes. Can you see the screen there? So we'll talk about circular economy. What does that mean? Talk about waste as well. How to manage waste. What's that got to do with energy? Talk about energy as well. How we can recover energy and materials from waste, and also talk about carbon capture as well. And then we'll have a little Q&A at the end. So, a bit about me. As you can see from this picture, like, one of my favourite things to do is just to stand and pose in front of large tall steel structures for most of my day. That's what I do. Okay, there's actually a picture of me in front of a waste to energy plant. Okay, and I've been project managing, or contributing to the project management of that factory for the past 6 or 7 years in the UK. So I'm involved with waste to energy, more or less, and specifically renewables as well. We'll just start with the concept of circular economy. I think most of you probably know an idea what it means. Does anyone have any ideas what these two diagrams are? What they're representing and why they're different? Is anyone familiar with these?
Top one,
Yeah.
the way things usually work.
Yeah, the way things usually work.
Yeah, only in the kind of cyclical nature of one versus the other. So the linear economy with inputs and outputs.
Yeah.
And obviously nothing feeding back into it. So it's
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's what I was trying to get to, and that's right. And we look at the top one, we talk about the linear economy. That's the traditional way that we've been doing things the past sort of 300 years. Even beyond that, is extracting resources from the earth and using them for whatever we need, and then just dumping them waste. Clearly, that's not sustainable. The circular economy down below is, and you're probably all familiar with the idea of how this concept is going to work. The obvious one, to recycle. We all know what that means. But we'll expand on the idea a little bit, because it's not quite simple as one little recycle logo. Okay. What's going on here? What's this?
The landfill.
Landfill? Yeah. And what do you think about that? Good?
Bad.
Bad? Yeah. Why is it happening? Why is it happening? Yeah, consumption, exactly.
No segregation?
No segregation, yes. I would agree with those two. I think the overconsumption is key, and then the other one is we don't know how to manage what's left after we've used it. And the segregation is part of that, I suppose. And it all comes down to really food and products that we have. We buy things all the time and we waste. Okay. How can we manage the situation? How can we manage the waste at the end of the day? What's the obvious way to do it?
Consuming less.
Consuming less? Perfect. That's the number one, actually. Yes? Anything else?
Recycling it.
Recycling? Yep. Anything else?
Switching the products that you're consuming, like
less byproducts that you're wasting.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to say this, but you have to manage the food products that you eat.
Yeah.
So not very wasty food.
Yeah. Super. Anyone else got anything else? No.
I mean, stopping planned obsolescence would be probably a bigger impact, I would say,
Yeah.
than consuming less.
How do you mean stopping planned
I
obsolescence?
think like goods and like durable goods are designed to fail and
Yeah.
throw them out rather than fixing them.
Yeah.
Like, I suspect it's probably a big contributor there, say, consuming stuff in food.
Yeah. I agree. And that would start at the very beginning, the design, isn't it? The design of the product that
Yeah,
you use.
exactly.
There are several ways that we just discussed a few ideas here. And I'm going to point to this approach. It's called the waste hierarchy. Has anyone seen this before? Yeah.
It's in geography. It's one of our concepts.
Oh, is it? Okay. Great. I was expecting you to quote that, so probably. So yeah, this is the waste hierarchy. It's commonly understood around the world now. It was introduced into EU directive in 2008, and then it's a formalised framework now. And the idea is these are the different approaches to managing your waste. And we talked, the first one I think you said in the middle there was to use less, to reduce your consumption. So yeah, definitely. We start here with the most favoured option and work our way down. Based on when you've got fewer options what to do with your waste, you come further down the ladder and then you've got fewer options when you dispose of it. We want to do that last. We want to work on the things at the top first. So we did talk about reducing your consumption, reusing, so not just recycling but selling on and passing on your goods and things. Recycling, obviously, we know what that means. Then recovery, down here, so this is the next step, and then we dispose. So recycle and recover, they kind of overlap a little bit, these ideas, because you can recycle plastic, but it goes into a machine. You don't just reuse it as a piece of plastic, you recycle it, you kind of break it down, and then you take the materials out, and it kind of blends into the idea of recovering. You're recovering those materials as well. You can go a bit further than just taking those materials, you can also recover energy out of that as well. So it's a whole huge industry around it. So we'll talk about that a little bit next. What methods we use to recover. Right, another problem. Anyone else has to guess what we're talking about here?
Natural disasters.
What's that, sorry?
Natural disasters.
Natural disasters, yes. So you first.
No, I was going to say the same thing.
Okay.
Read my mind. So.
Sorry.
Climate change?
Yeah, climate change. That's right. I mean, I was expecting to say it's just a bad luck day down at the grocery store. Someone a bit lucky there. But apart from that, yeah, climate change. That's what we're trying to show here. And why? Why climate change? Quick, simple answer.
Under control. Like,
Yes. But sorry, my question. I'll rephrase. Why are we having climate change?
overconsumption.
Global warming. Yeah. And what's causing global warming?
So greenhouse gases.
Greenhouse gas. Yeah, when I say greenhouse gas, it's a complex area, but focus, we'll just talk about CO2 for now. Okay, CO2. And where most of our CO2 coming from? We emit. Sorry?
Factories.
Factories? Yeah. Fossil fuels? Yeah. So fossil fuels, yes. But more to do with the conversion process, you know. It's the energy, it's the need for energy. It's everything we do in the world. And the processes that we use to live, make and transport things around. And that's the cause problem. We all understand that, it's obvious to most of us. The reason I'm highlighting these two pictures is because these are things that we don't see every day. You know, we talk about energy, you think about your lights in your house, your air conditioning, so you've got the power. We all know what that is. And then you drive to school or to work, and there's pollution and CO2 from that. These are a bit different, and they're huge, huge emitters. That's anyone know what that picture is on the left? Steel plant. Yeah. So they're making steel here, and steel is a massive industry, and it requires huge amounts of heat to produce the steel. And the heat, where do you think we can get all that heat from? It's got to be a fossil fuel, so natural gas. So there's huge amounts of natural gas that used in industry for heating. Heating to make steel, glass, various other things, paper. It's a massive consumer of energy. And then we talk about transport there. That's just a picture of some lorries and some ships. But they are much bigger amounts of transport compared to just driving a car. So and then the problem with them, unlike cars, is that it's to electrify.
What about industrial agriculture? I've heard that's a big percentage of the emissions.
It is. So you're right. I've not put it on here. Agriculture is a huge emitter as well, and that's what we talk about methane. I'm not highlighting on here specifically, but it is related in the other picture. But yes, you're right. Thank you for that. But we're going to focus on energy anyway, because that's all I know. I don't know much about agriculture, so it's all about this. When we talk about energy, we've got the users, the end users of energy. And these are the three kind of big areas that we just discussed. In the middle, how do we get energy to those users? These are the three, we call them energy vectors. So it's a way of delivering energy to some form or other. These are the three kind of main ones that we think about when we do this. So power, so electricity, heat. It's a step, there's this little step before heat, but heat is essentially a vector, and then you've got fuel, liquid fuel, or kind of maybe a gaseous fuel as well. We use power for buildings, industry, and a little icon there for electric vehicles. Okay, so that's great. Heat, we need that for heating in cold countries, we need it for cooling. In some places we use heat for cooling. And then obviously in industry, and then also the fuels. There's not much choice for us to use a liquid fuel in aviation or heavy transport most of the time. There's some alternatives, but this is the main way we do it now. And where are we getting all that energy from? How do we get from the resource to these types of energy? So, what's that? Anyone have a guess what this is?
Biomass.
Biomass, okay. So does it belong in the renewable or the fossil? Okay,
It's for both. So
okay.
it's like a cycle, right?
Yeah.
It depletes a little bit, but then you can also reuse it in a sense. So it falls under both. But again, you can't overdo it, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain point.
You're right, it does fall under both. I think it's a kind of complex area. It's mostly renewable, to put it that way, when it's plant-based matter. Carbon. So renewable electricity though, what can we do with that over here? Where can we put this? So ignoring the biomass for now, what can we do with these two?
Turn it into power.
Turn it into power? Anything else?
Heat as well? Heat as well?
Heat, you can have electric heating on it, but that would come from power.
Yeah.
So mainly, you're going to get these renewables going straight to power. And the electrical grid that you're familiar with is mostly becoming renewable quite quickly. I mean, you can see a road forward for making it renewable and clean. However, we still have some power coming from fossil fuel. But the fuels situation and heat is difficult to make renewable. You mentioned biomass, and that is renewable as well. So yes, we can say with biomass, you can also go straight to power, heat, and fuels. So I think that what the point is here, we've got a lot of different ways to use energy, from taking it from our resources into your vector, into your user. It's very complex, so you could talk for hours and hours about the different ways this works. It's different in different countries, etc. I'm just going to chuck this one on here. Waste. It's next to the biomass icon. It's green as well, and again, you can basically go from waste to power, heat, or fuels. Anyone wants to hazard a guess or some methods for covering energy from waste?
It's a lot with things. You guys
Now, anyone except Mr. Lockwood?
Biogas.
Biogas?
If we have one in the school, we dump like our waste food into that. And
Yeah.
then, I don't know what else.
Gets turned into fuel, so we can use it for gas for cooking.
Yeah.
And then it also we get liquid fertilizer from it as well.
You get fertilizer as well?
Yeah, which is used for primary garden.
Excellent. What's it called?
Biogas.
Biogas. Anyone know the name of the process? Apart from just biogas.
It's anaerobic digestion.
Yes.
And then
Exactly. So, anaerobic digestion, that's one way of converting waste into energy. Any others before I press the button? Any other guesses? No? Okay, so we talked about the first one, anaerobic digestion. That's great. We can break down the biogenic part of the waste and break that into, break it down into well, using microbial culture, you can turn that into a methane gas, basically. And you have, as you said, you've got some fertilizer products at the bottom as well. That's really good. And with the methane, we talked about cooking, or you can use it for power, or whatever. You can also go into fuels. Has anyone heard of this one? Yeah, a few nods. Incineration. That's essentially just burning your waste, okay, in a big oven. And that's a really good way of getting energy out. You get lots of heat from that. And with the heat, you can generate more power, or you can raise steam, and that can be used for power later. You can't really store much of that energy though, it goes straight to heat. I think we've got one around Colombo, there's an incinerator, is there?
Yeah, there's one that was just set up like 3 years ago. But
Yeah.
they have a problem that the waste is not segregated, so it's a lot of wet waste going in, so that it doesn't burn very efficiently.
Okay, yeah. Good problem. Yeah. Okay. So incineration, yeah, I mean, in Europe and America, it's pretty. As a sector, it's now very developed, and there's lots of incinerators around. Not so much out here in parts of Asia, but I'm sure that'll catch up. There are problems with that though. We'll talk about that in a minute. And there's another one down here, which is a bit more interesting, called gasification. Has anyone heard of gasification before? No? What you can do with gasification, you can produce a different kind of gas called syngas. And what happens there is that you, instead of burning it, you heat it up to a similar temperature, that the matter breaks down, and it doesn't combust. So the reason it doesn't happen is because you don't allow any oxygen into the process. And what happens is you get a gas coming off the top of it, called syngas. Then you have an energy source, that's a gas, a new gas, you can store, or if you like, or you can go straight into producing energy with heat or power. But what's also great about it is you can go straight into it, you can produce fuels with a few other steps down the line. You can synthesize different kinds of diesel, kerosene, or hydrogen as well. And the reason is that the syngas is already broken down into smaller molecules compared to methane, which is still reasonably heavy-ish. Hydrogen is still linked together, so it's difficult to produce fuels down the line. And what's also really important here is this CO2 coming off these processes. In all of them, there's an opportunity to capture that CO2. Capture that CO2, we've got some opportunity for that. And I think the key thing here that with gasification, it's a slightly easier process. I'll explain why in a minute. Now, if you think about the CO2, if that CO2 is biogenic, is it a problem? If the CO2 is biogenic, is it a problem when it goes to the atmosphere?
What's biogenic?
Okay, so biogenic means it's biogenic as opposed to fossil. Okay, I did skip a part there. If we take a step back, if you look at the waste, in your normal bin bag waste, what's it comprised of? What things are in it? Let's say it's been recycled. What things are left in your bin bag waste? You'd be surprised by the numbers actually.
Plastic wrapping, food waste.
A lot of plastic wrapping.
Yeah, a lot of food waste, right?
Yes.
50%.
Exactly, which is why I came up with 50%. That's the statistic in Europe at least. After it's been recycled, because your black bin bag waste that would otherwise go to the landfill is actually 50% biogenic, which means it's your plant matter, your food matter. And the 50% is unrecyclable plastics, which is fossil based. So if you either burn it or you create methane and then later burn it, or syngas and later burn it, and that CO2 goes to the atmosphere, is it a problem?
It could cause like ocean acidification, if it's later precipitated back onto Earth.
Yes.
And then it could cause like water levels, like changes in the like pH in oceans.
It could, yeah. So that's like acid rain.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. That would depend on the cleanliness of that gas coming off. But if it's just CO2 on its own, I don't know if that necessarily causes acid rain. Can it?
It can cause ocean acidification, which is
Okay, that's maybe you're right. Yeah. So that is a problem. Exactly, and it's essentially a greenhouse gas. What if it's a fossil CO2 going to the atmosphere? So 50% of it you're burning it, actually 50% of it is coming from the ground, making the situation worse, even more worse. And this is the argument. Some people say biogenic is not renewable, some say it is renewable, because it's still producing CO2. You can argue the case that it's carbon neutral.
It's part of the cycle. I mean, you would argue
Yeah.
that it
Yes.
would naturally be there, whereas in fossil fuel you're adding, it's enhanced, right? So it's being added from outside of the system.
Yeah.
So technically biogenic would be okay, right? I guess.
Yeah. No, I
Most
think.
people would, right? You would say it's all right. Like our biogas is producing some CO2 also, but it's part of a cycle.
Yes.
It's not adding extra. It's already extra.
Okay. I'll agree. Anyway, it's a great discussion. We could talk all of the session about that. And then we know draw the cycle that Mr. Locke just mentioned draws down the CO2 and we goes back out, so that's fine. But not the fossil. Now, you mentioned the CO2, you have an opportunity to capture carbon, focusing on the gasification step instead of the other processes of consideration. Because this is the one that I know about. This is the kind of technology I've worked on for the last 6 years. And the carbon capture process is a great opportunity when you use gasification, because the CO2 is already separated from the gas at pressure, so it's quite small volumetrically, so it's quite easy to process compared with an exhaust gas for incinerator. So say you've got your syngas, this is your new product, you've got it from the waste, everyone's happy, you've got a valuable product. You can then process that further to go from these different fuels, hydrogen, methanol, or kerosene, so that's like a jet fuel. You can do that. And what you would do, depending on the fuel, you would always have to have a carbon capture step in there to create that fuel. Hydrogen's been like the best option because there's no carbon left in there. Whereas these do have a little bit of carbon. But you can essentially clean the gas, you scrub it, and the CO2 can be taken out of that gas and you can liquefy it. Once it's liquefied, or you can pipe it out, pipe it somewhere, or liquefy it and truck it somewhere, and they basically take that to a CO2 storage site. Geological storage in particular, very large. So, what we're seeing here is kind of, it's part of the environmental kind of system we're talking about, but it's also an economy in its own right, because what you're starting to see is a cost of hydrogen and a cost for carbon as well. You have to, if this costs lots of money to do, in order to be able to do it, you have to pay for it. How are you going to pay for it? You have to pay for it by through the cost of the energy. So that will pay for the cost of the carbon to be taken away. And the waste here also has value to it, cost. So if you think about the municipality or your local council, they have a problem with waste, and they have to get rid of it. Most developed countries have a contract, they're legally obliged to deal with their waste. If they don't, they're in trouble. So they have to find ways, which is why typically landfill is the solution. When that became sort of legislated out or regulated, especially in Europe, America, incineration is the next best thing. So you have to go here. And they pay to go. They will pay a company to take that waste away. So the company will make a bit of money from just taking the waste. So whoever's producing this fuel also gets a bit of revenue from selling the fuel and a bit of revenue from taking the waste as well. But you've got to pay to get rid of the CO2. So there's another business aspect there. There's also other products which come off these processes like char and the fertiliser product you mentioned and the nitrogen. You can sell them to agriculture, and it goes through. And we talk about the CO2 going down from biomass back out to the atmosphere. The fossil, if you've got carbon capture with your process, and you're using fossil plastic, it's actually not too bad, because you can take it out of the ground, use it in your products, or use it for energy, and then put it back in the ground. You can actually make your fossil portion neutral, carbon neutral. And this portion, if you put that in the ground, it actually becomes carbon negative. So, double thumbs up to that. So, we'll just summarise. I think what the point I'm going to get to is that circular economy isn't just a simple circle. It's very complex, lots of moving parts in between different sectors and businesses. But I'll break it down to these three economies, three things that are moving around in our world: food and products, materials from those. You've got your energy economy, and then your carbon economy. This is this new economy which is now part of business and politics today. Okay. So I'm finished. Go easy on me, please. Any questions?
How do they store the CO2?
How do they store it?
Yeah. When you said they take it away, right? Like,
Yeah, I've not got a good picture of it other than this little icon. But there are a lot of the oil and gas companies in the world who know about geology. They're the kind of organisations who know where these huge empty aquifers where they've extracted all the natural gas over the years, now empty. You can actually put gas back in, put the CO2 gas back in, and store it underground.
so there's just like big pockets of CO2.
Yes, but it would be, yeah. There are huge caverns under the ground all over the world for various reasons. Some of them are to do with the fact we've extracted oil and gas. There are other natural ones that are there anyway. But if you go down, they go down miles with these boreholes. It would actually be under such pressure, it would actually be a liquid CO2 that's stored.
Can they-
Yes.
Like, how long will it take for us all to like not have enough space to keep this?
It's a great question. I think I did read up on it once. I don't remember the number, but I think we have ample storage space around the world for hundreds of years, not thousands. I'll have to double check.
Scary to think about it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that we should, yes,
I'm sure you could read up on it on the internet and find out. But it's a good question.
On a related note then, like nuclear power versus say storage, carbon capture, sequestration.
Yeah.
Like either way you're sort of stuck in something right underground, storing the undesirable waste products.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess you didn't mention nuclear.
No, I didn't.
It needs a possible solution. Wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Well, it's hazardous waste, isn't it, nuclear? So it's not easy to do anything with it. I think they have to store it, don't they? Uranium, the old uranium, but they can't do a lot with it for a long time. And that's geological storage as well, I believe.
Any nuclear,
Yeah. So, yeah, at that point, there's not really easy solutions.
yeah, I just mean the energy density you get out of nuclear and like current day technology is quite safe. Like you're only storing a tiny amount of waste as opposed to like tons and tons of
Yes.
it is hazardous waste, but it's very small.
Yeah. No, I agree, and it's difficult to answer because it's such a challenging area. Sorry.
Just a quick question. There seems to be like a lot of science and a lot of geography and a lot of different subjects knowledge going into this kind of problem and solution. Was your pathway scientific or was it human geography or?
I am a bit of a mixed bag. I did engineering, with manufacturing, and then I went to MSc Renewal Energy, which again, that the masters mixed all those disciplines anyway. Chemical engineering and electrical engineering. And economics.
Disciplinary kind of.
Yes. So I think we've lost everyone.
It's
Oh,
time,
it's
yeah,
because
that's our
fast starting
Yeah, but
for
clap. Hey, you guys, let's do it.
Yeah.